Hey everybody, it's Bundle Week, our vegan Christmas. You decide. I'm back again. Today is only 3 lives, but I'm here today with Nan, and she's going to make us something super yummy that I am incredibly jealous that I'm not going to be able to taste. And it's good to have you guys all here. And Nan, would you like to introduce yourself to everybody and tell them not only what you have in the bundle, but about your coaching and all the other things you do as well. I want my community to really get to know you.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm so pleased to be here. Kathy is one of my heroes. I was sort of gushing with her and over her before we got on. So I am Nan Simonson. Oh, I didn't do something. I'm
That's
going to
okay.
walk.
I'll read some comments. Angela Boomer and Beyond says, hello from Fort Lauderdale. I'm thrilled to see Nan's the guest. I adore her. Active aging baby indeed, which is
Thank
awesome.
So what I wanted to do is pull this over. This is my book, Aging Powerfully. I wrote this 6 months before turning 70, and that was 3 years, more than 3 years ago, because I had gone through a period in the mid 18, I was going to say 1800s. I really aged powerfully. It went through a period in 2018 where I saw a bunch of doctors because everything was hurting. If I dropped a pencil, I would moan because I had to pick it up and it hurt to pick it up.
Oh
Everything was going.
no.
And so my GP sent me to a cardiologist, and I went to an endocrinologist, pre diabetic, and I went to a rheumatologist, really high rheumatoid arthritis markers, and that's in my family. And somebody else said, "You've got sludge. Isn't that disgusting? Sludge in your gallbladder. I'd rather have stones," but it was sludge. And they said, "We are taking your gallbladder out," and scheduled me for surgery. And this is 2018. Fast forward, we're in 2024, and not only was that all taken care of by changing my diet and lifestyle, but I feel like I've aged backwards. It stopped the progression of all of that. And then I went back to great labs, great health, and then I seem to keep getting better because at 73, I feel better and stronger than I have felt in decades. I have a history, and Aging Powerfully talks about my past history, decades and decades and decades with an eating disorder. It talks about some difficulties that had me hung up in my life, just a very short memoir. And then this word powerfully becomes an acronym, 10 words that are lifestyle modalities that will help us age with power. Now, why am I so connected to lifestyle as medicine? Back to a bit of the story. I decided I would change careers. I was a landscape designer. Prior to that, I owned a Tupperware franchise for 20 years and taught people to succeed in sales and did that and sold millions of dollars worth of Tupperware as the leader of this company. And then I did landscape design for almost 18 years and did very well with that. And my son calls what I'm doing now and have done going on 6 years, Mom 3.0, because I decided, okay, I've designed outside, let's get inside into our bodies. And I had taken a course at the International or at the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. I became a health coach with extra training in gut health, hormone health, and coaching master classes. And so I knew that I wanted to improve my diet, but I wasn't sure how. And then I went to an event, and that's why everything I think becomes somewhat serendipitous and we can manifest certain things because I thought I need the best. I don't have that many years ahead. Now I know I have many, but I want the best diet I can possibly have. And I went to an event at a botanic garden of all places, and somebody was teaching an almost 4 hour course on food as medicine. It was from the Wellness Forum. It was somebody trained by Dr. Pam Popper, and he talked about why plants and a plant based nutrition um, protocol could make us age well, age longer, and prevent disease. So I even became a certified trainer of hers. Never used it because I didn't intend to at that time. And then I went to True North for 10 days, not to fast. They won't fast someone with an eating disorder history. Even though I had gone beyond that, that's not something they want to do because it can bring back things. I fasted, water fasted for 5 day periods. Well, almost five, well, not almost 5 times, 5 times. And it hasn't been a problem, but that's another story. Anyway, so I live in Riverside, California, 60 miles east of Los Angeles. And one of my friends said, "Oh, well, since you're looking at plant-based now, there's a place down the street. Why don't you go? They're doing a cooking class in a couple of days." Registered, went there. I wasn't a member of this lifestyle medical practice, but when I went in and I was sitting at this class, the chief operating officer of the clinic happened to be there, and he said, "Oh, are you a member?" "No." "How did you hear about us?" And I told him, and I said, "I'm becoming a health coach. I'm getting my certification in a month, and I wanted to get additional training and see what you're doing here." And he said, "Well, that coach that you watched is retiring. We're looking for a new coach. Would you be
Oh,
interested?"
that's perfect.
Beautiful. So that's how I got into, and I feel so fortunate for this, so blessed that I got into lifestyle as medicine, because I could have been working with a clinic that did what a lot of allopathic clinics do. Hi, you're a patient. He's going to say you've got to lose weight, reduce your blood pressure, stop eating sugar, and basically here's a prescription, go away, and in that way be a health coach. But instead, the College of lifestyle medicine's all about living in and making choices about living in a certain way, making choices about our lifestyle that will allow us to age with power. That's not there, that last 3 words, but it's true. And that's what I went into full force. So I'm a lifestyle medical health and wellness coach, and I've been working for going on 6 years now with groups and individuals. And when we do a group meeting, for example, the first thing they do is they check in with how they're doing with their lifestyle pillars. So what are the pillars of lifestyle that we focus on? We consolidated the 6 pillars that are outlined by the College of Lifestyle Medicine. And by the way, the College of Lifestyle Medicine is certifying doctors at a greater rate than any other specialty, because so many doctors are saying, you know what, I came to medicine to help cure people, to help prevent disease, and all I'm doing is treating with prescriptions and procedures. And so the idea of making a difference is appealing to them, and it should be. That's what we do. Because I saw the difference it made in my life, and now going on all these years of watching these patients at the clinic get stronger, reverse diseases, save, I was going to say save body parts, so I'll save it. And it's true. One of my favorite stories is somebody who had been bitten by a brown recluse, and his leg was necrotic, getting worse and worse, went on a year and a half. They said to him, "We're not going to be able to save your leg below the knee. We're going to have to amputate." And he came to lifestyle medicine because somebody said, "Why don't you try to change your diet?" Well, back to my story, every one of those doctors who told me I should take pills, the cardiologist said, food has very little to do with what's happening with you, with your blood pressure and the fact that your cholesterol is 230. The immunologist said food won't take care of it. The rheumatologist said food won't take care of it. It took care of everything, including my sludgy gallbladder. In other words, I know what it did for me. Well, I see now all these patients, including this particular patient, who completely reversed the direction of his necrotic leg. We have photos of how it improved and improved and improved. He's out playing disc golf, he rides, he runs, anyway. So
That's amazing, though,
it,
Nan. It really is. And
it
I put your URL in the comments or in the chat for people who are watching now. So if someone's already feeling kind of attuned to you, what steps do you go through to work with you? Like, do you have to go through the practice, or do you work with people on your own?
Well, okay. I'm gonna probably be sorry I'm saying this. I'm always my head's like a gumball. Whatever is up there comes flying out of my mouth. Gumball, take coins. Anyway, all right. So I'm in yet another certification program. I decided to become nationally certified. The National Board of Health and Wellness Coaches certifies you nationally. I have T. Colin Campbell's and I have the chef program and from the teaching arm of Harvard. I have a number of certifications, but I've got another one. I want to take my test in July, and in order to do that, between March, the middle of March, and the near the end of April, I have to do Fergus. Hi,
Fergus is
honey.
here. I'll put him on. He was trying to
Beautiful.
crawl up the back of my pants. Whew,
Oh,
that was a good
ouch.
catch.
That was a good catch. Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. He literally
That's just,
put both paws worth
yeah.
of claws in my behind. So, apologies.
I've got a burning butt. Because when you do that, it kind of burns because you got these little holes in you. I've had that happen. Anyway, um, so I am, bottom line, I am in a period right now that I've been challenged, not challenged, it's a requirement. Before I can sit for the exam, and after I get my what we call a qualifying exam, which is I'm going to be taking in a week. Between then and the end of April, I have to do 50 coaching sessions. So what
By
I'm
the end of
saying is
April?
of April. So I am happily taking on people, and there's no fee because I won't charge for these short little, I'm going to call them starter sessions for health. And sometimes that's all anybody needs. So you can write me at agingpowerfully@gmail.com. So it's aging powerfully and then with Nan at gmail.com. And I can do a Zoom call with you and at least get you started. And if we have enough to say, we'll do another and another and another until the end of April, all as part of my requirement to be able to sit for the exam in July. I wouldn't have to push it if I wanted to sit in November, but I don't want to sit in November. I'm going to sit in July. So anyway, now if
That's
I get three,
amazing. And what an amazing
well,
offer that you're giving
well,
people.
I think so. And I'm here
Apple
on
is asking, is this for Americans only? You would do Canadians as well?
if we can Zoom, I can do anyone I can Zoom with. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. And what I will say is that a health coach, see, I'm used to teaching and training. You'll see I can't help myself. And I'm going to have to get to my recipe. I'm used to teaching and training. A health coach certified by the National Board of Health and Wellness Coaches doesn't prescribe, doesn't diagnose, and we don't tell you what to do. We help you through your resources, your own determination, choose the direction that's best for you. And I'm very excited about that method because I think it's really easy for us to sit people down and say, well, this is what I think you should do instead of, what do, what do you see that you can do that could make a difference? Let's look at how we can bring that about. That's the way we're being trained to teach. So yes, write me and let's see if we can get you in because again, I would be happy to have a conversation with you. So, and the reason I said I might be sorry about that is that,
You might get 1,000 people.
okay, so back to the whole thing of lifestyle as medicine. That's what my book ends up being, a little memoir and 10 lifestyle modalities that include prioritizing sleep, prioritizing stress reduction, community, that people in our lives, the people we love, the people that love us, the people we simply connect with are as important to our health as these other things. Nutrition, and the College of Lifestyle Medicine recommends whole food plant-based, which I'm delighted about. And then finally, movement. We've got to move, and we've got to move on a regular basis. The only thing that keeps our brain and our body healthy. So let's get into cooking. Did I say everything I wanted to say? Yes, I think I did.
And you'll be able to
Yeah.
say some more too. And I just want to tell everybody too. So Nan was going, I think you're probably like getting a little stressed out and not getting enough sleep from Bundle Week. And she's right.
I know. I know. Yeah. And there's a natural, see, listen to me, Nan, stop talking, but I have to say it.
No. We
There's
got
just
plenty of time.
a response. It's physiological that when we have a high, we're going to have a low. And it's a natural response to get really hyped up about something. I'm ADHD. Kathy may be at times.
So.
She says that. I'm not pointing
I'm
fingers.
not diagnosed, but I'm pretty sure there's some neurospiciness happening of some kind or another.
Yeah. So what happens is we can hyper focus and go. But there has to be a time where our body lets down, or the cortisol ends up just kind of coursing through our bodies nonstop. We don't digest, we don't rest, and it's not healthy. So anyway, there tends to be the highs and the lows, or the crashes, and they're no fun. So yeah, she's working very, very hard, and I'm very glad to hear she's going to take time off and let that all kind of settle down so she can go back to resting and digesting in your what they call parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, what about the recipe? Let me tell you what I'm putting together. Well, let me tell you what I have in the bundle. So I have under Nan Simonson, because what you get in the bundle is alphabetized. And under Nan Simonson, I have Cook, Eat, and Live for Vibrant Health. Where did this all come from? When I took the Culinary Health Education Fundamentals course that was through Spalding, which is the teaching arm of Harvard, and got certified for that, what they want us to do, what the whole point of the course is to get people to eat at home more often, to cook at home, to eat at home, because that's where we will get the best and the purest ingredients. Processed food, restaurant food, fast food, they're all loaded with the hyper palatability of salt, oil, sugar, and quite often all kinds of chemicals. Look up, now I'm on a high horse, look up ingredients in McDonald's hamburger buns. Just look it up. There's like 28 ingredients. What does it take to make bread? Yeast, water, flour, and maybe salt. Where did the rest of those ingredients come from? In other words, we at home make our own food. So I took this course. I am involved with our senior center here in Riverside, one of the largest in California, the Janet Goski Foundation and Senior Center. And I offered a 5-week class there, teaching them, very fundamental, teaching them the value of cooking at home and then putting together simple recipes for them, and then showing them even some fundamentals of the equipment in a kitchen. Well, then Chef AJ said, well, Nan, you should do a bundle. I don't have anything. And then I thought, yes, I do. I have, 20 hours of videos teaching what I taught at the Goski that I could share. So I had 5 classes with them, and I broke them down into meals: breakfast options, lunch options, dinner options, dessert and snack options. And then I also did a video on kitchen equipment, the equipment you need for prepping, for cooking, and then for storing food, so that I could help these people find a way to make it easier to eat simple meals. So what I will tell you about my bundle, and this is my grouping of recipes. There was a grouping for each class, and you'll get it just on one printout. You don't have to watch each video because the 5 videos are broken down as I just described. These are super, I want to say super simple. For example, on the dessert and snack, there is something called minty date nut balls that are just a few ingredients ground up in the food processor. Walnuts, water, vanilla, medjool dates, and shredded coconut, a dash of peppermint extract, and then rolled around in something. It could be chopped nuts, it could be chopped coconut. In this case, because it was March and I was telling them do something green for St. Patty's Day, it's chopped pumpkin seed or pistachios and rolled around. So they're kind of really cool. You know what?
Those sound awesome. I definitely want some of those. And simple recipes are super important for people who are starting to eat this way. Ooh, you have some to show us? Yay.
You see that?
Yes. I love the way you have it all like presented, ready to gift it out.
Well, yes. And actually I've had this since I made it for a video. Well, I don't know, maybe a week or 2 ago, because they freeze well, they refrigerate well, and they're just really yummy. Okay, and I could have added some cocoa, a tablespoon of cocoa, and I would have ended up with a chocolate minty bliss ball. And anyway, okay, so for breakfast, one of my favorite things is the tofu scramble. Let's see where I am here.
Tofu scramble is great, and I like it it's so easy. One of the things I do, Nan, is like I'll have a small slow cooker, and I'll just go ahead and mash up the tofu, put my spices and some coleslaw mix or broccoli slaw if I have it, and throw that in there, and then go take a walk. If I put it on high, by the time I come back, it's warm.
That is really interesting. I would never have thought of the slaw in there. And I did misspeak. That's part of the lunch options. But one of the breakfast options that people love is an easy and delicious vegan mango chia pudding. That's really good. And it makes it. And then lunch, we have things like the Better-than-tuna salad I'm going to show you. And then for dinner, we also have, and a Nourish bowl. In other words, I didn't make these complicated. I showed how to make open-faced sandwiches using this Better-than-tuna mixture. I showed how to do a Nourish bowl. For dinner, we have a spaghetti squash with an Alfredo sauce over that. And the Alfredo sauce is enhanced with dried tomato, sun-dried tomato. It is so yummy. Well, let me get to this. So the first thing I'm going to put together is the rich and creamy mayo that goes into the non-tuna salad. One of the things I said to Kathy before we began is I said, I'm going to admit to something. I'm going to come out in a way that I might be sorry. I'm going to do all kinds of things that I might be sorry about. And that is that I'm not a recipe developer. As a matter of fact, I began cooking at 7 because I loved to cook, didn't really know what I was doing. So I became a dumpster diver kid. We were raised by my mother when we were 2, 3, and 4 and on, and we lived in apartments. And in the back of apartments, there's these big dumpsters. Well, you know what people throw away? Magazines. So I would go in looking for magazines and the Sunday paper little flyers that had recipes. And I was a recipe collector from the time I was 7 and 8 and 9. Well, I am still a recipe collector. And primarily when I cook, and you're going to see this, you'll see it in my bundle, you'll see it in a lot of my videos. If you go to YouTube, Nan Simonson, you'll see I have over 300 videos. Some are on lifestyle information, but a lot of them, most of them, are recipes. And in many of the recipes, if I'm using somebody's recipe, I'll say, and this is from da-da-da, or this was inspired by da-da-da, unless I basically came up with it on my own. Well, if you look for better than tuna, better than chicken, better than whatever kind of salad mixes. You'll see a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
This was a compilation of a number of them, but one of the things that is great to have on hand is a rich and creamy kind of a mayo. So a lot of the sauces I make with the silken tofu, and I always get the silken tofu that's organic because I don't like the idea of spraying, and they tend to spray for weeds if they can, and they can on non-organic crops. And cut the ends of it off, open it up, and it's as easy as simply pouring it into the food processor. This food processor is a Cuisinart. It's the mini food processor. And somebody said to me once, Nan, you tend to use that a lot. And I realized that, yes, I do. It's easy to clean, and it works beautifully. I have cashews that I soaked, and I want to, well, let's say explain that if you do a lot of cooking and you tend to use cashews, save the money by buying cashew pieces.
Yes.
Cashew pieces are so much less expensive than buying whole cashews, and they're already chopped, which means that you can measure that. So I get this one at Trader Joe's, and they're just small pieces, and who cares? So I soaked these last night. If I were using my Vitamix, I wouldn't have bothered to even soak because it's a high power blender. This and a processor, most processors won't give you that emulsifying quality that you get from a high speed blender. So these were soaked overnight to make them soft. And I found even the last, time or two that I made this, that I wanted to go longer than I would normally go with you watching, because you'll get bored and turn the channel. So I'm not going to do this all the way. So what I have is, I have the cashews, I have the silken tofu. And what is silken tofu? What's the difference? It just has more water in it, and it has a creamier texture than, let's say, the firm or extra firm. I have lemon juice in here, and I have, you can't see my little combination, but I have some date paste, some Dijon mustard, some white pepper. And you might think, I don't want to get that many. I don't want to have so many spices that I have things I won't use. White pepper tends to be a nice addition to things that are light colored because you don't get the dark specks in them, and it has a nice flavor. And then a salt substitute of some kind, or salt if you use salt.
What's your favorite salt substitute?
Oh, I like Benson's Table Tasty. I also like some of the flavored salt substitutes from,
Savory
local
spice? Oh, local spicery, yeah.
spicery. This one is Sol della Toscano. It's really nice, but it's a seasoned. What do you, well, actually, Kathy, I heard in a recent video of yours that you put onion powder or salt, garlic powder or salt, celery ground up, and you make a salt substitute out of that.
Yeah, an unflavored one. So it's like 1 tablespoon onion powder, 1 tablespoon garlic powder, 1 teaspoon ground celery seed mixed together, because it gets the salty flavors. But like in something like this, I totally agree with you. You don't want to have it be Tuscany or Greek or Mexican, usually, like not the base one at least.
And that's, it's too restrictive if you don't have something that's just general. So here I go.
And I'll just read some comments. If you, are you already done? You're fast. Close. So Apple was saying, I use my mini food processor every day. That and my electric kettle get to live on my counter. Lydia says, I'm so happy to get to know Nan. She's great. And everyone loved it when you said, where was it? My head's like a gumball machine. Everybody thought that was delightful. Okay. Let's see what else we've got here. And I put your thing in. I did not put your address in, but if you send me that email address, if you want to, I can post it here or put it out in my email list. So we can talk about whatever works best for you. And Jeremy is getting ready to try a moong dal scramble. Apparently it's a thing. I haven't, yeah, everybody's making like their own kind of just egg substitute. And Apple also says silken tofu uses a different congealant. There's firm silken tofu. It's easy to make at home. Ooh, I haven't made silken tofu yet. And so also Apple said she'll post a link in my free Heartbeat group. And don't forget there's a bundle thread in there. I'll post a link to the Heartbeat group.
Okay. This is enough. And
Perfect.
I am going to store it the way I normally store it. And that is in a jar. Now this is looser than it will be when it sits a while. And I'm going to remind you of something that I'm sure Kathy has shown you a number of times. And that is that you can get a lot more from your food processor by using centrifugal force.
You know, I never do that, so that's awesome.
The difference, watch this. Because it's too hard to get everything off, this has cleaned it out in such a way that now you can see how much I have here. Yeah. And this will fill up the jar now with what would otherwise have been a little bit difficult to do. The ideal thing to make this in, to get it just velvety smooth, would be a Vitamix. The problem is there are so many nooks and crannies in there that when I get it out, it won't fill a jar. It's down by, not quite an inch. But in other words, I look at all that and I think, I'm sorry you're wasted, because I can't get it all out very easily. All right.
It is hard.
Yes, and yes, that's where you're going to get your best emulsion. All right, so we have the mayonnaise. Get this out of the way. And now we'll do the most, I'll say complex. I was going to say complicated. It's not complicated at all. But the most complex recipe in my bundle, and by complex I mean it just has the most ingredients, and that is because I love the fact that I can create a brininess with this salad using these ingredients. First of all, I'm going to show you that I use pickles, and since this is here and I want to get it out of the way, I want to recommend that if you use pickles, and some people don't because they're really salty, you can rinse them, but you're still going to get salt. And I'm not on a no salt diet. I'm SOS free, kind of. No refined sugar. I don't add oil to my recipes. I avoid oil when we go out, but I do have some salt. And the reason I mention Bubby's, and there's a number of others, is I want to recommend that if you're going to use pickles, find the fermented ones. Trader Joe's had some fermented ones. They had a better brand that they discontinued that was the whole pickle. Now they just have pickled chips. But if it's fermented foods are so healthy for us and so healthy for our microbiome that you want, if you're going to have the salt, well then have it in its best form, or the pickle, have it in its best form. Another thing that I'm using that, yes, does have salt is the capers, but they have such a briny list that I think it adds beautifully to this. So you could say, well, I'm not going to do pickles and I'm not going to do capers. Will this be good? Yes, it's going to be good, just a little bit different. And so if you're not familiar with capers, I get these from Trader Joe's. I have a Trader Joe's 4 minutes from the house, so I'm there all the time. And I happen to like the fact that they offer organic for a tiny bit more rather than dollars more. If I go to a conventional store, their produce section, and they have organic, it's usually quite a bit more. And so I respect Trader Joe's for doing their best to keep that price low. So this little sweetie here, I've got three
There
of
you
them.
go.
Yeah, is a caper. It's basically, in case you're not familiar with them, it's a flower bud. It's a bud of a plant, flower bud of a plant that is usually then brined. And so, yes, you're going to get some salt in it. And so I have the capers that have been chopped. And I'll show you what I'm going to put together. What I also want to show you, see, I keep walking away.
It's okay. Marilyn says she loves Bubby's and Azure carries them. So that's a bulk place that I'm going to be buying from eventually, but I'm not yet.
Okay, all right, good to hear that. This is the way I keep my chickpeas. I will make 2 to 3 pounds. If I do 3 pounds, I have to do it in the 8-quart Instapot. But I buy organic dry chickpeas. I make a bunch of them. I drain them well. Just put them in. Always drain in metal, not strain in metal if it's a hot liquid, not plastic. And then I just lay them on a cookie sheet with some parchment paper because it's easy to get them up and kind of loosen them. But I can even slip, because I have a large drawer type freezer, I can slip the whole cookie sheet into the freezer, and then I just bag them. So this is where I got my the
Chickpeas. And I
simply
do
use-
that too.
you
Only I'm lazier than you. I don't freeze them on the cookie sheet, which is the best practice. I want to be clear, but it takes away that emotional release of smacking that bag on top of the counter.
But I still had to do that when I pulled this out, because I was going to show you, but I didn't want to leave it out. And I did. I smacked it. And there's something
Right.
about it's like Julia Child. Oh gosh, I shouldn't use this example. See, I can't help it. Head, mouth. Julia Childs. If any of you ever watched Julia Childs, do you remember the satisfaction she got when she was showing how to stuff a turkey? She would smack that bird on the breast. She would go like this. I'm saved my I don't even think about that.
You're going to be
poor
smacking that chickpea.
Let's get back. Okay, so this could have been a drained 15 ounce, 15.5, whatever it is, ounce can. I have a small masher. I'll mash them just slightly. I don't want them all to be smashed to a graininess, because I like the mouthfeel of having some full chickpeas in there. But I'm smashing well enough. And again, this is just like the mayo. It's going to thicken in the refrigerator. This sets up more in the refrigerator after it's had a chance to. Let me get this out of here. All right. So I've mashed it, and now I'm going to add, and I wanted to show you something else. I'm sure, because you are fans of Kathy's, and she does so much creative cooking, that you are familiar with tahini, but I'm going to do what I did with the senior center, and that is that I just talk about what I'm using, because sometimes people aren't familiar with these things. I think you know what tahini is, that I'll just talk about it anyway. Normally I use Trader Joe's tahini. It's well priced, it's organic, but they ran out of it. So I had to buy something somewhere else, unsweetened, creamy, and it's sesame seeds. It's just sesame seeds ground up the way you would peanut butter, the way you would sunflower butter. This is sesame butter. And this is not low fat, because I've used cashews and I've used the tahini, and I don't add oil, but I absolutely don't fear the fat in my diet if it's a healthy fat from food. And yet I'm still quite aware that I have to pay attention to caloric density. If I find that I've put on a pound or two, I'll say it's usually about 2 pounds, and I'll say, nah, I don't want to do that, simply because 2 turns to 4 and 4 turns to 6. And so I'll simply cut out the nuts and the seeds and the just those two, cutting those out of sauces and even snacks, because I have a handful of nuts a day, will make a big difference, because those are so calorically dense. Though I don't count calories, I know that if I substitute, well, just vegetables and grains and legumes for those nuts, there it goes. So that's my philosophy there. Now, what am I adding? I have carrot. Let me move this out of the way. I have carrot and celery chopped. You've already seen the capers.
And did you cut the capers? You didn't chop the capers, or did?
Yeah, I chopped them a little more so that the bud is maybe a third of an inch in diameter, but I still chopped it to get more pieces of it in there, mixed in, but also so that somebody wouldn't just get a whole caper. I don't think that's a bad thing, but that's what I did. This is lemon juice, and is this where the lemon juice and the pickle? Oh, I forgot one thing in the mayo. That lemon juice that I showed you I put in also was a tablespoon of lemon juice and a tablespoon of pickle juice right out of that jar.
Oh.
For a brininess, I want this to be closer to tuna. And in this, I'm putting some lemon juice and some sriracha just to get a little bit of spice in there. And the tahini is here, mustard is here, some seasoned salt, but Benson's Table Tasty, and a little bit of date paste. And that's it. Then I need a half a cup of mayo. Oh, and the pickle. Don't want to forget the pickle. Though the recipe calls for a third of a cup of the vegetables that I put in, including the pickle, I usually go for a little bit more, because I'm perfectly happy with the chickpea being, I'll say, sort of diffused a little bit by all these vegetables. If you really want just mainly chickpea, then stick with a third of a cup of those. Instead, I'm closer to a half a cup. Now, I'm going to, before I put in the mayo, I'm going to add this, and this is kind of the secret weapon. This is dulse granules, and if you look at it, they've just been, let me see,
There we go. I can see it
just
there.
it's just ground up. It's basically a seaweed, a sea vegetable. And I'm going to put just a little bit. You can kind of smell the seed there, the sea in a good way, without the microplastic.
Well, see, when I make my tuna salad, Cheryl before she even became vegan, she hates fish. And so she won't eat any kind of seaweed at all. So I have to make my tuna salad without any seaweed in it.
Okay, all right. And I'm going to just, see, I can even pour this. It's still so loose. And, well, okay.
You've got to do it.
Yum. I'll probably put a little bit more, but let's see. Yeah, I will. About a half a cup. All right.
And that mayo is going to firm up a little bit in the fridge as it gets cold, right?
It will. You've got the cashew in there that is, well, quite frankly, it's kind of a, well, it's a nut, but it also is a source of fat, and the fat just sort of firms up. And you can put as much or as little as you like. I like it a little moist. So what I have for lunch every day is a big chopped salad. And on that chopped salad, I put different kinds of fruit. Like right now, my kumquat trees are full, so I'll put 4 or 5 shots because the flavor is so intense. And then I'll add apple and I'll add grapefruit and then a bunch of vegetables. And then I put a big dollop of this on top of it. In my recipe bundle, I recommend using this for an open-faced sandwich, like my husband's avocado sandwich. You put this down and then some tomato, red onion, some sprouts, some folded up romaine, and you have this big thing that's just delicious. So let me see what it tastes like. And I'll show it to
Kathy
yes,
is
ma'am.
asking this, could you use vegan yogurt unsweetened instead of the mayo?
It'll just be different because, let me see. It'll just be different. This has, because I've done that, I've used, the other thing I use a lot is the tofu sour cream. It's very similar to this, but without mustard. I may use a tiny bit of mustard, and it's just lemon and the onion and the garlic powder and white the white pepper. And the other day when I made it, I put a little bit of mustard in it, but I wanted it to be more like a sour cream than a mayo. And the answer is I've used that. I've also used veganese, but if you've ever looked at the ingredients of veganese, you're eating, even the low fat one is something like 60% fat, and it's an oil. It's a refined oil. So, but some people still use that. But I like this. Here, let me do this. I'm left-handed, so I can't
It
do
looks
this.
so good.
I like this best, actually. The mayo in it is just, so you'd play around with it, and that's what this all comes down to. You could be like somebody who doesn't want to put a lot of time into this at all and put very few of the ingredients and still love this. There we go. This is one of my favorite go-to protein sources for, I could pull a cracker out and show it to you with a cracker, but I'm not going to do that because I don't do a lot with crackers, refined flour
We
crackers.
could put it on lettuce leaves too. You could use it like a lettuce wrap, like little.
I could dip carrot sticks in it. I could have it in my salad, open face sandwiches, on and on and on. So that's the no tuna, and I'm sorry, but that was really good. That was really good. So, any questions? Anything more?
We've got a question and a comment so far, but if you guys have some questions about either the recipe or the good work that Nan is doing in the world. Kathy was saying use it to fill celery sticks.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Barbara says mashed up avocado is a great substitute for the mayo, especially if you don't have a Vitamix or didn't soak the cashews overnight.
Good idea.
And Stephanie is asking, what about Trader Joe's vegan mayo?
Oh, it's look at the ingredients. You'll see it does have oil in it because I've looked at it. It has I don't know if it's canola, but I think it's canola. Canola isn't a terrible oil, but it's a refined oil. It's not whole food plant-based, and it's separated from what makes it a whole food. And so it's not something that I think is a very good idea, and it sneaks in way too many calories.
I agree, and it's so easy to eat because it's not like you feel. I don't know. For me, there's certain things that, if they're oily, it's very easy to go, oh, you just notice it very quick. I feel like mayo can be a little insipid in the way that it just kind of seeps in, but it's so easy to make your own.
And actually, you could do that recipe and not put the cashews if you don't want to. You could put a bean, a little bit of bean to give it a thicker consistency, so that you get that kind of a density beyond what the tofu will give it, because the tofu stays a little softer. Although with my tofu sour cream, that firms up as well. It just doesn't have that. I've come to like this with this amount of richness, and yet that's just something that I've preferred because I've gotten used to it. You could do the tofu, or again, if you don't even want soy. Some people don't like soy, um, and you could use, as you've heard, the avocado or any kind of a dressing. There are so many salad dressings that are made with beans. There are so many salad dressings. Well, I don't know how many, but for example, Drina Burton's ranch dressing could be used in this, and that's a potato base rather than a bean or a nut base. And Kathy, you've been doing so much with your cheeses, for example. I went on a cheese rampage and I saw the ones that were being produced by Julie Piatt, who is Rich Roll's wife. And I bought all the ingredients. And for, oh, I don't know, it was during the holidays. Every event I went to, I had a charcuterie board with just cheeses and fruit. And I found that because those use oil. She uses coconut oil in a lot of things. There aren't a lot that don't have, well, I don't know if that there were any that didn't have some oil. And I ended up putting on 4 pounds because of those cheeses. And I allowed myself to have crackers with those cheeses. And so it doesn't matter if we're whole food plant based, we still have to pay attention to some of the nuances of all of that.
It's very true, and that's one of the reasons why I make my cheese recipes no oil, and usually there's usually no nut options as well for certain
Well,
things.
yours I'll get a handle on and I'll start making because I like what you've done. And your flavors are always fabulous.
Oh, thank you. That's so kind of you. Jamie is asking, how do you cook chickpeas in the Instant Pot?
Oh, okay. Um, if you're not familiar with her, I'm going to give a shout out to Jill Nussenow. She has a cookbook, Vegan Under Pressure. I just love that title, and she has charts in there for grains, vegetables, as well as legumes and some other things. And it's a good cookbook. And I've used her recommendation to cook soaked chickpeas for 13 minutes. They don't get they don't get mushy. If you cook them longer, especially if you leave them for natural release, and I do leave these at 13 minutes for natural release, but if you cook them much longer and you leave them at a natural release, they can actually become so soft that you don't get the texture that is enjoyable mouthfeel wise, like in a soup. And sometimes I'll just put together a really quick meal of a beans, some broth, some vegetables, and season it well and have that as a quick soup. And if they're cooked, I think longer than that 13 minutes in the Instapot, once being soaked overnight or 6 to 8 hours, you don't get the mouthfeel from them. So that's what I do.
Oh, that's awesome and super helpful. Anne wants to know, she's having trouble getting silken tofu in her town. How interchangeable is soft tofu in recipes? And I would also like to add, you can order silken tofu from Amazon.
Okay. Well, I'm going to defer to you, Kathy, because I would say yes, you can do it. It's firmer, but I think it's also grainier. Uh, in that if you blend it, you're still going to have a bit of graininess. But Kathy is, again, I'm the cheater. I'm the dumpster diver. I'm the one that uses other people's recipes. Wait a minute. Let me go get Kathy's recipe and I'll tell you what to do. Kathy, tell her what to do.
You're hilarious.
I
Um,
am.
I would, if you use another tofu, I wouldn't use the food processor. I'd use the blender because you're going to get a much better result with that. Because I'm queen of what's in my fridge right now. And so if I didn't have any silken tofu, I would grab whatever. Probably I use a lot of the high protein extra firm. And the high protein isn't that anything's added to it, it's just that more water is squeezed out so you don't have to press it. That would be the least recommended one because you're going to have to add more liquid and water to get it to possibly come together. Soft tofu should be fine. But silken, there's something magical about silken tofu, and my favorite dessert that takes zero effort for me to take places is like I'll put some silken tofu, I'll melt some chocolate chips. You could add a couple of like softened dates. And a lot of times if I'm going to like adult dinner parties, then I'll put like a teaspoon of Grand Marnier or Frangelica or something, and it tastes like the best chocolate mousse they've ever had with zero animal products, and it took you like 10 minutes to make it.
One of my recipes in the bundle, it's for the snack and dessert, is a avocado, and it's tofu pudding. And I believe yeah, it is. It's a chocolate. It's a chocolate, so it's cocoa powder, avocado, and some dates. And as Kathy said, it is whipped up in no time at all. No one can guess what's in it. They simply love it.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And like with the silken tofu, and I think the avocado does the same thing, once it sits in the fridge, it sets up better than those people's egg heavy cream mousse that you might have ever had. It's amazing. And I think it's so cool that there's so many things that take low effort that are amazing. And actually chickpea salad like this is one of my go-to summer lunches because I'm tired, I'm working, I have 5 minutes to go make something, and then you have it to put on your salad or on a piece of toast or whatever you can do. And I really appreciate that you're showing people a lot of simple things as well, because I think it's important to have that.
What do you put in yours? Because mine had quite a few ingredients. It has the flavor I like and the nuance of seafood, which Cheryl would just. So what do you put?
I'm so basic when it comes to this. So my really like, I'm about to cry because I was paying attention. This is why I think I'm ADHD too. Like sometimes I can look up and it's 4 o'clock and I'm about to cry because my body needs food, right? You're like, wait, what happened? So I'll mash some chickpeas. A lot of times at that point, I'm not going to make vegan mayo. If I have some tofu mayo, I'll use it, but I'll usually use some soy yogurt. I put a little, so this is my trick of making soy yogurt seem more mayo-like to me because I'm not salt-free. I put some kala namak in it, so it gets that eggy flavor.
Yes. Do you all know what that is? That's the black salt, kala namak.
And it's the black salt that's pink, which also confuses everyone. The outside is black. Once they grind it down in the inside, and it's a traditional Indian ingredient. Yeah.
And yeah, it looks, you're right, it's kind of a pinky. Well, I didn't realize that. I love this. And actually, this would have been good on this as well, but not for Cheryl.
And it just depends. So it gives that egg flavor, right? So.
True, and so that's not seafood. Okay.
And like if I make a potato salad for her, I make sure to use kala namak instead of regular salt. I find you end up using more kala namak than you would table salt. I'm not a food scientist and I don't know the real sodium count, but it seems to, at least taste bud wise for me, to have less sodium than regular table salt. But I've not looked that up for real. But then I'm all about it. So I would put in some yogurt, a little bit of mustard, some kala namak, some pepper, some celery seed, ground celery seed, probably a little bit of garlic and onion powder. Like this is super cheaty. It's all powders. And then as much pickle as I could stuff in there. I don't care if it's sweet pickle. I don't care if. So we keep relish just for my chickpea salad. So it's just an excuse to eat all the pickle I can hold.
That sounds delicious. And yes, that would be delightful. That would be a very nice one, easy to do.
Well, and that's just when I'm like, because you can just portion out those powders really quick. That's something you can make in the time it takes you to mash something. Now, there are other times I'll like cut up veggies and shred veggies and maybe cut grapes in half and put some curry powder. So, like, it just depends on how much brain I have at the moment, right?
Well, I think there's something magical about your mouth because I heard you talking to Ellen Allard and you were putting something together. I think it was a bouillon or something like that. And you were saying, I have to have this little, how did you say it? I have to have, no, my mouth was looking for the nuance, I'm paraphrasing, the nuance of this. I have to have the little tang of that. And I thought, she's a master.
No,
So
I
you
think
have,
I'm just so specific. Like, again, I think it has to do with my neurospicy. It's like I was taking my walk today and I like heard a squirrel 300 yards away jump in a pile of leaves. And I looked around and there was the squirrel. And so it's kind of like that. So it's like when I try to close my eyes when I'm making something new, a spice blend or something, and you see what's poking you, what's standing in not a good way, what needs to like get clipped on your like flower bush.
that's what I was hearing you say. It's got to poke me in different ways. So I need to think that way because I like that a lot. I love that you said that. You evaluate and you think it through. And yes, I like that.
And
So I
and you
think,
don't have to overthink. Everybody doesn't have to overthink everything, and I don't either. And that's why I wanted to say, like sometimes I just go in my spice drawer and throw some things in. I smell, make sure it smells a yay and not a nay. And then you just eat. And that's as equally valid as you going, I'm going to make super fancy whole food plant-based no oil dinner tonight.
yeah, yeah, brilliant. On that
Uh,
note, mic drop.
You are just too
Up on it.
awesome. And I'm so happy that you came on my show. Oh, and oh, that was a cramp.
Oh, ow,
I think I need to drink more
ow.
waters. I have
Huh?
my water here, I promise. I feel like I'm going to get a note from you, Nan, asking if I slept and if I took a walk and did what I needed to do. And I
I was really
appreciate
glad. All of a sudden, you pinged something in me when you said I took my walk, and I thought, check. Yay!
I know, because it's so easy to get caught up in the minutia of everything. And even though I do have another live at 3, Cheryl's birthday was Monday, so we're going out for Cheryl's birthday tonight. So we're going to take a little break from everything and then kind of hit it tomorrow. Oh, Apple, I love this. Apple says Nan is so classy. I adore her, and I agree.
Thank you,
Uh,
Apple.
that's awesome. And people are saying how they've had chickpea salad is a big go-to. Um, let's see what else we've got. Yeah, Jill Newsonell's charts. Oh, and I'm getting water and potassium and a nap, a massage, and a blanket for it. And I would love to check all those off by the end of
Amen.
next week. Uh,
Amen.
right? And I did take a nap a couple of days ago, so I have it, well, I laid down. My brain is too active to shut down right now. But it's
Yeah.
only Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So once I finish my 3 o'clock, then it's just 3 more days. And then
Okay.
and then I don't know what I do. I think
Well, you've been a game changer to all of us because you've done as much, if not more, than most people in the bundle in terms of what you contributed. which was phenomenal. I think what, 6 things, 7 things. Your 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 lives. You sent me a list of where I was. You you're very well organized, and so you sent a list of those of us that were live, and this was before you probably even filled your lives. I didn't count, but there were, what were we, a dozen and a half? Now it's up to 2 or 3 dozen, and I thought, man, Kathy, how do you do this? So, yeah, thank you for doing this. You've really added so much value to
No.
the bundle for everybody. And so I hope everybody buys the bundle. I say that that $49 could be spent on lunch out with you and your spouse, a one and done, probably not even good for you if it's out, or on this bundle that can affect you for the rest of your life. So that's what I have to say. I'm done.
I love it, and I agree. And I always say, like, even when we're doing this, some people maybe can't buy the bundle or aren't interested in the bundle, and that's fine. But I still want these lives. I want everyone to get to know each other and be able to follow each other. And I think most of the people do want to buy the bundle. And some have bought the bundle, and some of you guys are holding out. So you're going to hold out till Sunday, and that's okay. And I know I promised, and I'm not letting you down. I'm just pushing it off again because we're going out for Cheryl's birthday tonight. If we get back early, maybe we're going to show you guys how to download it onto Google Drive and some other things. So we're going to go step by step in how to download the bundle, because I know some of you guys have emailed me with questions. But please know we're not pushing off. It's just 5 lives yesterday. I just could not speak after that. So if you're waiting till then to buy the bundle, that is fine. It is coming. It will probably come tomorrow or Friday. No, Friday or Saturday. It is Thursday. I'm deciding it's Wednesday. Isn't that helpful?
Ask you one question, and you've got to get out of here. Is it easier to just put in a flash drive and upload it onto that flash drive? Or is
You
it
can
this?
do it. You could
Yeah.
do it that way. If you're on an iPad, you need to download them separately. And I was just up there now a minute ago looking, and I wasn't seeing last year. I thought there was a place that you click once and everything came down. And so I'm
She,
looking at it
yeah,
is.
Lisa said, well, she just said that, well, this was for the iPhone. They have to do it one by one.
Yeah. For iPhone and
So
iPad, you do.
I don't know.
And I'm not seeing, well, because I asked her to, she hooked me up. So I've got some stuff so I can do show and tell. And
Okay.
so I'll show you guys what it looks like, how to do it. And if you've already gotten the bundle and you're a little panicked, don't be panicked. If for some reason you get to download everything 10 times, if for some reason you mess up, and you thought you downloaded it and something happened, and then in the next few days, email support@healthyslowcooking.com, and Cheryl will put you in touch with the bundle support. So we're going to take care of you, so don't worry about that, okay? All right.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, and Catherine says there is no one button. Okay, so you do have to download each piece separately. And you have a year to download everything. But the one things I want you to do, there is at the very top, I did download this, and it's a list of contributions and categories. That's just a list. It is just a list with no clickable anything. It's just to help you be able to mark off that you got all the pieces of the bundle. And I'm going to show you guys all this stuff, I swear.
You take
Okay.
such, well, your mama Kathy. So I appreciate I appreciate your time, and thank you for having me on. This has been quite a treat.
Oh, this was awesome for me too. And thank you so much. And you make sure you're taking good care of yourself as well, Missy.
I do. I go to bed every night thinking, did I do my exercise? Check. Get enough sleep? Check. Community? Check. And nutrition is I'm really a clean eater as it comes to whole food plant based. So check, 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 check. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Well, you guys, I'm going to be back at 3 o'clock for the final live of today. before I whisk Cheryl away into birthday excitement. So hopefully I'll see you guys there, but if not, just have the very best day. Be patient with yourself. Take a deep breath, drink enough water. Remember what Nan said and do what she said. I feel like she's going to come out and treat us like a turkey if we're not careful. Smack.
That was happy birthday, Carol.
All right, you have a very good day, and we'll talk to you guys
Bye.
soon.